The first thing Zalira noticed about the human habitat was the smell. It wasn't unpleasant, just alive. Metal, sweat, coffee, and something she'd later learn was called shampoo that promises too much. Her nose twitched as she stepped into the cramped ship cabin, trying to seem like she belonged there. Her mission was simple: infiltrate, observe, seduce if necessary. Her people, the Lyrans, needed information about human mating patterns. Earth's defense treaty depended on it. If only she'd known that humans didn't just mate. They complicated it with something called emotions. Her first assignment was Captain Rex Danner. Rex wasn't the kind of man you could ignore. Half naked always, because shirts are optional in zero gravity. His chest looked sculpted by someone with too much free time and too few shirts. He didn't talk much, but when he did, it was either a flirt or an insult, both strangely complimentary. Zalira sat on the edge of the bed, wearing the minimal disguise her ship's AI had insisted on, a floral-patterned bikini. It was supposed to make her look approachable, relatable. Instead, she felt like an exotic fruit on display at a human market. Rex leaned against the wall, eyes tracing her with the professional curiosity of a man who'd seen too much war and far too few aliens in bikinis. "So," he said, voice low and teasing, "you're the new recruit from Lyra, was it?" "Technically Lyranthia 7, she corrected. "But yes, I am." "New," he smirked. "You don't say," Zalira tilted her head. "Actually, I just did." That threw him for a loop, and she almost smiled. Her species communicated through both speech and subtle bioluminescent signals, something that, in dim light, made her skin shimmer softly like starlight. Rex noticed. "Whoa," he said, stepping closer. "You glow when you talk. Is that like mood lighting?" Zalira frowned. "Mood? I am not a lamp, Captain Danner." He chuckled. "Could have fooled me." "You're lighting up the whole cabin." Her translator chirped an error code. It was struggling to process human sarcasm. Zalira filed the interaction under potential mating rituals, confusion, and teasing. They were alone for the first time after the ship's hyperspace jump. The hum of the engines filled the silence between them like a third participant in their awkward dance. Rex was running diagnostics. Zalira was pretending to help while secretly recording every detail of human interaction. "So what brings you to our side of the galaxy?" he asked. Zalira paused. "I am studying human reproduction." Rex nearly dropped his datapad. "Come again?" She blinked innocently. "Yes, as many times as required. I have read that repetition is key to successful results." There was a long pause. Then, slowly, a grin spread across Rex's face. "You know, I think I'm gonna like having you on board." Her translator clicked. "He likes me." Possible pre-courtship indication. She made a mental note. Humans often expressed attraction by smiling and making sounds resembling laughter. Possibly a way to show teeth dominance. When she turned to look at him again, Rex was leaning in, curious and cautious. "You're not what I expected, Zalira." "And what did you expect?" "Something green, with tentacles. Not, swimsuit model alien Barbie." She tilted her head. "I can generate tentacles if that helps." He choked on his coffee. "Please don't." Later, when the ship entered orbit around the barren moon of Kesra 4, Rex found her staring at the viewport, her silver eyes wide with wonder. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "Never seen a moon before?" "I've seen hundreds, but never one through. Human eyes." He folded his arms, watching her reflection in the glass. "You talk like we're that different." "We are," she said softly. "On Lyra, we don't touch without purpose. We don't kiss unless we intend to share a neural bond. And here, you kiss for practice?" Rex laughed again. "Something like that. Practice, pleasure, bad decisions after alcohol." She turned to him, fascinated. "Bad decisions are part of human bonding?" "The best part," he said, grinning. Her luminescence pulsed again, faint, pinkish. The translator beeped a new log. Subject experiencing accelerated bio-emotional confusion. Possibly arousal. Possibly overheating. Dinner was an experiment. Zalira wanted to study human cuisine, so Rex offered to cook, which meant burning something that used to be pasta. The smoke alarm screamed for mercy before he shut it off with a slap. "Is this normal?" she asked, waving away the smoke. Absolutely, he said, coughing. The smoke adds flavor. It's called char fusion, she sniffed the pot. It smells like fear. That's the secret ingredient. When they sat down, she imitated his every move, twirling the fork, blowing on the food, pretending to chew. You don't like it? Rex asked, noticing she hadn't swallowed. I'm still evaluating. My mouth sensors are unsure if this is edible or an emotional test. He laughed again. If it helps, my cooking does test emotions. That night, she recorded her first mission log. Human males are unpredictable. They hide sincerity behind jokes. Their humor is a defense mechanism and a mating signal. Captain Rex Danner has displayed multiple signs of interest. Prolonged eye contact, teasing, and self-inflicted kitchen disasters to elicit sympathy. I find him confusingly warm. She paused, fingers hovering over the console. And possibly contagious. Behind her, Rex's voice broke the quiet. Talking to yourself? She spun around. Mission log, diary. It's for emotional regulation. Cute, he said, stepping closer. You know you don't have to be so formal around me. We're just two people stuck in a tin can floating through space. She raised an eyebrow. And this tin can is where humans flirt? Only the classy ones. He sat beside her, the mattress dipping under his weight. She felt the vibration through the metal frame, a strange electric awareness that made her glow brighter. Rex, she said softly, you are dangerously charming, he grinned. And you're dangerously honest. There was a pause, charged, wordless. The hum of the engines, the low blue light, the faint scent of burnt pasta. Two species from different worlds caught in the same orbit. Rex broke the silence first. So tell me something real. Why are you here, Zalira? She hesitated. The truth, that she was a spy sent to study his species, hovered on her tongue. Instead, she smiled faintly. Maybe, to learn what it means to be human. That's a dangerous subject. I enjoy danger. Good, he said, leaning closer. Because humans can be a hell of a study. Her translator whirred uncertainly. Warning, signal distortion. Possible metaphor detected. Zalira blinked. Is that an invitation to conduct research? He chuckled. Something like that. Hours later, when she tried to sleep, her thoughts were a mess of curiosity and confusion. Why did his laughter linger in her chest? Why did her heart, an organ designed for efficient blood flow, beat faster whenever he was near? The next morning, she caught her reflection in the mirror, faint traces of pink glowing under her skin. Her species glowed only when emotionally synchronized with another life form. Impossible, she muttered. It's just proximity effect. Hormonal interference. Her AI assistant, perched on her shoulder like a metallic dragonfly, buzzed. Correction. You are exhibiting symptoms of cross-species emotional imprinting. Recommend quarantine. Recommend silence, she snapped. Still, she couldn't stop thinking about the way Rex had smiled at her, half amused, half humanly broken. Later that day, during a maintenance check, Rex found her upside down in an access vent. Need a hand? He asked. I have two, she replied, voice muffled by metal. He laughed. You're adorable when you're sarcastic. She slid out, landing gracefully on her feet. I was not attempting to be adorable. I was attempting to be factual. Well, mission accomplished, he said, crossing his arms. You're factual as hell, she frowned. Is that another flirtation code? Yeah. You're catching on. As the hours stretched into another artificial night, Rex grew bolder with his humor. So, he said, leaning against the wall, how do you Lyrans usually reproduce? Asking for a friend, Zalira blinked. We merge consciousness through direct neural transfer. It is efficient, sterile, and emotionally neutral. Sounds romantic, he deadpanned. It's not supposed to be. Well, that's tragic. Humans prefer a little chaos in their romance. She tilted her head. Chaos? Yeah, messy feelings, regret, the occasional bad decision. I see. You find unpredictability. Stimulating? Only when it glows, he said with a wink. Her translator didn't even try to interpret that one. It just emitted a small error tone of defeat. That evening, Zelira watched Rex repair a power conduit. Sweat rolled down his back, catching the light. Her heart thumped annoyingly. Her AI whispered in her ear, "Warning! Hormonal surge detected. Possible infatuation?" "Shut up," she hissed. Noted. Logging denial phase. When Rex looked up, she was staring. "Something on my face?" "Yes," she said honestly. "Symmetry," he blinked. Thanks? It is pleasing to my optic receptors." He grinned. "I'll take that as a compliment." It was one. For the first time, he didn't laugh. He just looked at her, like she was something fragile and fascinating at once. "Zelira," he said softly, "you might be the weirdest thing that's ever happened to me." "Then I am succeeding," she whispered. That night, she couldn't sleep. The stars outside the viewport seemed closer somehow, the hum of the ship softer. She felt connected, and that terrified her, because Zelira had a secret. Her mission report wasn't going back to Lyra as mere research. It was a weapon, a biological key to replicate human DNA. Her people needed it to ensure their survival. And Rex Danner? He was supposed to be her first data sample. She stared at him as he slept in the next bunk, chest rising and falling in that maddeningly human rhythm. Something inside her ached, a feeling she'd never cataloged before. Her AI whispered again. Emotion detected. Guilt. She turned it off. But guilt wasn't the only thing she felt, because the more time she spent among humans, the less alien she felt herself. Zelira's dreams that night were inconveniently human. She dreamed of laughter, of warm hands, of lips that spoke without words. When she woke, her skin shimmered faintly violet, a color her species only produced during emotional instability. "Oh, no," she muttered, scanning herself in the mirror. "I'm malfunctioning." Her AI, still grumpy from being powered down mid-log, buzzed awake. "Correction. You are experiencing attachment response. Also known as love." "Impossible," she said flatly. "Love is a myth, a narrative device for weak species. Weakness detected, elevated serotonin levels, erratic pupil dilation, and—" "Enough," she hissed. "Reset emotional matrix." The AI beeped obediently. Reset failed. Human interference too strong. She glared at her reflection. Human interference indeed. Rex was already up when she entered the control deck. Shirtless again, because of course he was. His muscles caught the dawn light of the nearby planet like some self-aware parody of human masculinity. "Morning. Glowbug," he said, sipping coffee. "I am not glowing," she replied defensively. "You are. You look like a walking lava lamp," she frowned. "Your metaphors are structurally inconsistent. That's what makes them art." He slid a mug toward her. "You ever tried coffee?" She peered into the dark liquid suspiciously. "It looks like engine lubricant. Tastes better," he said. Usually, she took a sip. Her entire nervous system lit up like a fireworks show. "This beverage is chaos," he laughed. "Welcome to humanity in a cup." She set it down carefully. "Your species voluntarily consumes neurostimulants that cause tremors, elevated heart rate, and minor hallucinations?" "Every morning," he said proudly. "It's called coping." She made a note. Humans survive primarily on denial, caffeine, and misplaced confidence. Their mission, at least on paper, was to chart a mineral-rich asteroid field near the Kesra system. But the ship's scanners had picked up something unusual, a derelict alien vessel drifting silently among the rocks. Rex grinned. "Treasure hunt time!" Zelira's instincts screamed otherwise. "Or death trap time." "Same thing," he said cheerfully, strapping his blaster to his belt. As they approached the wreck, the ship's lights flickered ominously. Zelira's glow dimmed automatically. Camouflage reflex. "Stay close," Rex whispered, scanning the dark corridor. "Define close," she asked innocently. He glanced back with a smirk. "Close enough to save me if something jumps out." "Understood," she said, stepping so near their arms brushed. He blinked. "That's close. You told me to optimize proximity." "Right. Yeah, just Don't make it weird. I am an alien spy pretending to be a biologist, she whispered back. Everything is weird. The wreck was silent but alive with echoes. Strange markings lined the walls, glowing faintly blue. Ancient Lyran script. Zalira froze. This ship. It's one of ours. Rex turned to her sharply. Yours, as in Laranthian? She hesitated. Yes, but old. From before the treaty. They entered what looked like a lab. Floating in stasis chambers were crystalline embryos, half-formed, pulsing faintly. What the hell is this? Rex whispered. Research, she said softly. Abandoned or forgotten. Her hand brushed against a console, activating it. The holographic log flickered to life, an old Lyran scientist speaking urgently in her language. Project Genesis, unsuccessful. Hybridization unstable. Recommend disposal, Rex frowned. Hybridization? Zalira turned to him slowly. They tried to mix Lyran and human DNA, he stared. Wait, why would your people to survive, she cut in. Our population is collapsing. We needed genetic diversity, but the early attempts failed. Rex's voice softened. And now you're here, studying humans again. She met his gaze, silent. The truth hung between them, heavy and electric. Back on the ship, neither spoke for a while. The silence was louder than the engines. Finally, Rex sighed. So, you're not just some curious tourist. No, you're a spy. Yes. And you were sent to... What? Steal human DNA? Yes, he nodded slowly. Well, that's a first. Most women just ask for my number, she blinked. You are not angry? Oh, I'm definitely confused. Maybe a little flattered. Her translator clicked uncertainly. Emotional ambiguity detected. I was supposed to gather samples, she said softly. Samples? Of genetic material. For replication, he raised an eyebrow. You mean, yes! And you were gonna... Yes! With me? She hesitated. You were the most viable candidate, Rex laughed. The kind of laugh that sounded like disbelief trying to stay alive. So let me get this straight. You came here to seduce me for science? Affirmative. And now you're what? Catching feelings? Affirmative, she whispered. He rubbed his face. You aliens really know how to complicate a guy's day. The tension between them shifted after that. It wasn't just attraction anymore, it was danger disguised as flirtation. Every glance was a question neither wanted to answer. At dinner, Rex tried to lighten the mood. So what happens if I refuse your little science project? Then I fail my mission, she said simply. And if I say yes? She met his eyes. Then I fail my heart, he blinked. Wow, that's dramatic. I read human literature, she said earnestly. You enjoy drama, he chuckled. You got me there. Later, she found him sitting alone in the observation deck, staring at the stars. Captain Danner, she said softly. Rex, he corrected. Just Rex. She sat beside him. Silence stretched between them again, but this time it was comfortable. I never lied about everything, she said finally. Just the reason I came, he nodded. Yeah, I figured. Humans are not easy to understand. Neither are aliens, or women, or coffee. Pretty much anything worth studying, she smiled faintly. Then perhaps we are both researchers. He turned to her, expression softening. You ever think maybe you don't have to be a spy right now? Maybe you can just be you? I do not know who that is yet. Then stick around, he said. We'll find out together. Her heart pulsed again, a soft blue glow spreading under her skin. That night, while she pretended to sleep, the AI whispered again, Emotional contamination nearing irreversible threshold. Define irreversible. Attachment may override mission protocol. And if I continue, you will become human. She stared into the darkness. Maybe that's not such a bad thing. Morning brought chaos, literal this time. The ship's alarms blared. Something massive had entered their sector. Pirate vessel incoming! Rex shouted, sprinting to the cockpit. Zalira followed, already accessing the defense grid. They're hailing us. Put it through. A rough voice crackled over the comms. This is Captain Vrax of the Iron Claw. Hand over your cargo or we'll take it the hard way. Rex groaned. Why is it always the hard way? Zalira's eyes flashed. Permission to retaliate. Granted, Rex said. Just try not to blow up the entire ship. No promises. What followed could only be described as organized chaos. Zelira's hands danced over the controls, her bioluminescent markings pulsing faster. Plasma bursts streaked through the void. The enemy ship fired back, shaking the cabin violently. Remind me never to piss you off, Rex yelled over the noise. Then stop being attractive during combat, she shot back. He blinked mid-laser fire. Wait, what? Focus, human. She rerouted the power grid through auxiliary thrusters and fired one final blast. A concentrated beam that tore through the pirate ship's hull. It exploded in a brilliant bloom of light. When the smoke cleared, Rex stared at her. You just took down a warship with a cargo vessel. She shrugged. Lyran multitasking, he laughed breathless. You are insane. And yet you are smiling. Yeah, he said, shaking his head. Guess I like crazy. Later, when the adrenaline faded, they found themselves in the medbay patching each other up. Rex had a cut on his arm. Zelira insisted on treating it herself. Hold still, she said. You sure you're qualified for this? I studied human anatomy extensively. Of course you did, he muttered. She pressed a glowing fingertip to his wound. The skin sealed instantly. Neat trick, he said. Lyran biology adapts quickly. Can it fix hearts too? She froze, meeting his eyes. Possibly, why? He smiled faintly. Just curious. That night the ship was quiet again. The battle had left them both exhausted, and strangely closer. Rex leaned against the doorway to her quarters. You know, for a spy, you're terrible at hiding emotions. For a human, you're very good at triggering them. He grinned. We're a species of experts at bad ideas. And yet, she said softly, stepping closer, I find your bad ideas fascinating. He looked at her for a long moment, the humor in his eyes giving way to something deeper. Zelira, he murmured. What are you going to do when your people call you back? She hesitated. I don't know. Then maybe, he said, reaching out to touch her hand. You should stay. Her skin lit up under his touch, blue and gold blending like sunrise. She swallowed hard. That may be the worst idea yet, yeah, he said, smiling. But it's ours. In her next mission log, she didn't lie. Captain Rex Danner continues to exhibit traits of compassion, courage, and relentless optimism despite near-death scenarios. I have concluded that humanity's greatest strength is not technology or power. It is their capacity to feel deeply, even when logic advises against it. I was sent to exploit this. Instead, I have become infected by it. She paused before adding one last line. I am no longer sure who I am serving. My planet. Or my heart. And as she looked out the viewport at the endless stars, she found herself whispering something that wasn't in any report. Maybe being human isn't about species at all. Her reflection shimmered, part alien, part something new. She smiled. Maybe it's about falling for the wrong person in the right universe. Zelira's confession changed everything, not in a grand, universe-shifting way, but in the quiet, uncomfortable way that made breakfast feel like a court hearing. Rex sat at the table, staring at his coffee as if it owed him answers. Zelira stood by the viewport, pretending to study the stars but mostly counting the seconds of silence between them. Finally, he spoke. So, what happens now, Glowbug? She turned, startled. Now! Yeah, you told me the truth. I didn't throw you out the airlock and we survived pirates. That's at least 3 bonding milestones by my count. She frowned. Bonding milestones? Yeah, step 1, survive danger. Step 2, reveal dark secrets. Step 3, he gestured vaguely toward her. Awkward silence and emotional confusion. Her translator beeped. Emotional confusion. Confirmed. I do not understand how you can joke, she said quietly. I deceived you. He looked up, meeting her eyes. Yeah, but you also saved my life. Twice. That's not exactly spy behavior. I was protecting my sample. Nice try, he said with a grin. But your face glows every time you lie. Her cheeks pulsed pink. That is inconvenient. Adorable, actually. She blinked. You find my biochemical embarrassment attractive? Deeply. The days that followed were strange. Like living inside a joke the universe hadn't finished telling yet. They trained together, repaired the ship together, argued about cooking. Pasta does not require emotional trauma, she'd said, and somehow grew closer without ever admitting it. Rex had started to understand her quirks. She cataloged his every gesture like data. How he scratched his neck when nervous. How he said damn softly when he caught himself staring at her too long. Zelira, for her part, was learning the chaotic rhythm of humanity, the reckless humor, the stubbornness, the way emotions contradicted logic. She found it terrifying and addictive. One evening, while recalibrating the life support system, Rex asked, "So if your people find out you've gone rogue, what happens?" "Rogue?" She echoed. "You know, rebel, traitor, spy with a conscience. I would be erased." He stopped what he was doing. "Erased?" "Yes. Lyran memory technology allows for remote consciousness resets. If my neural code is deemed compromised, they can wipe it instantly." He stared at her. "That's insane!" "It is efficient. It's monstrous." She shrugged, though her glow dimmed. "Efficiency is all that matters to them. Feelings are considered contamination." "Well, congratulations," Rex said. "You're officially contaminated." Her eyes met his, luminous, trembling. "And you, Captain Danner, are the pathogen." Their next mission brought them to the orbit of a strange, abandoned moon station. The readings showed traces of Lyran tech, old and dormant, like a ghost of her past. Rex frowned at the scanner. "This thing's ancient. You sure we should dock?" She hesitated. "Yes, but we must be careful. It could be a monitoring outpost, meaning someone could be watching us, meaning someone could be watching me." He gave her a sideways glance. "Well, that's not creepy at all." As they boarded the station, the lights flickered to life, one by one, like a pulse remembering how to beat. The air was thin but breathable. Zelira felt something tug at her mind, a faint signal calling to her. "Rex," she whispered. "They know I'm here." "How?" "The station. It recognizes me. My genetic code is in its registry." Suddenly, a holographic projection flickered into existence. An older Lyran female with the cold. "Perfect symmetry of her kind. Agent Zelira of Laranthia 7, you have deviated from mission parameters." Zelira froze. "Mother Superior?" Rex's brow furrowed. "Mother Superior? Like, your boss or your actual—" "Both," she said tightly. The hologram's gaze shifted toward Rex. "Human contamination detected. Genetic sample incomplete. Proceed with extraction." Rex blinked. "Extraction?" "Lady, I'm not donating anything." The hologram ignored him. "Agent Zelira, fulfill your directive or be neutralized." Zelira's glow dimmed. "I will not," Defiance noted. "Memory purge initiated." The air filled with a high-pitched hum. Zelira cried out, clutching her head as a surge of light rippled through her veins. "Zelira!" Rex lunged forward, grabbing her shoulders. "What's happening?" "My neural code, they're erasing me." Rex didn't think. He just acted. He ripped open the station's power conduit and overloaded it manually, sending a shock wave through the system. The hologram flickered, distorted, then vanished. The hum died. Zelira collapsed into his arms, trembling. "You okay?" he asked, voice shaking. She opened her eyes slowly. "I think you just fried half my species' surveillance network," he grinned weakly. "Good. Maybe they'll stop spying on your love life." Her lips quirked upward despite the pain. "You are insufferable, and you're alive." Hours later, after they'd restabilized the ship and escaped the moon's orbit, Rex found her sitting in the cargo bay, staring at the floor. "They won't stop," she said quietly. "They'll come for me. Then we'll run. They will find us. Then we'll fight." She looked up at him, her glow faint but steady. "You speak as if I am worth fighting for." He knelt beside her. "Zelira, you've met humans. We fight for a lot less than love." She blinked. "Love?" He froze. "Did I say that out loud?" "Yes." Damn. Her glow brightened, soft, pink, unguarded. "Then you feel it too." "Yeah," he said. "Scares the hell out of me." The following days blurred together, repairs, stolen jokes, and the strange peace that comes after surviving something you shouldn't. Rex caught her humming once. A sound like liquid silver. "What's that song?" he asked. "It's a Lyran lullaby," she said, "for children who dream of stars." "Sing it again?" "I do not sing." "You just did." She tilted her head. "Humans are infuriating." "Yeah," he said, smiling. "But we make great duets." One night during hyperspace drift, the ship's systems malfunctioned again. Gravity flickered off. Tools floated, lights dimmed, and both of them drifted weightlessly through the cabin. Rex laughed. "Well, this is new," Zalira frowned. "Your engineering is unreliable. Hey, it's not my fault you glow like a power surge every time you get emotional. That is an unfair biological design flaw." They bumped gently into each other, spinning slowly in the air. Her hair floated like a halo, his breath warm against her skin. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then softly he said, "You ever think maybe we were supposed to meet? Statistically improbable, romantically inevitable. Those words do not align. They do in human." Her laugh, soft and rare, filled the air. "You are impossible. And you're glowing again. I am overheating." "Sure you are." They drifted closer until her forehead touched his. The hum of the engines surrounded them, two lives suspended in a moment that felt both infinite and fragile. Later, when gravity returned, they pretended nothing happened. Because pretending was safer than feeling. But pretending only lasts so long. The next transmission came without warning. "Agent Zalira, final directive. Return immediately or termination protocol will be executed." Rex clenched his fists. "They don't stop, do they?" She stared at the screen. "If I go, they'll erase everything, including this." He stepped closer. "Then don't go. If I don't, they'll destroy the ship. Then we outsmart them. You cannot outsmart an entire species." He smiled faintly. "Watch me." Together they devised a plan, reckless, brilliant, and very human. Zalira would send a false transmission claiming she'd completed her mission and uploaded the genetic data. The coordinates would lead the Lyrans into a decoy system, far from their real location, but to make it believable, she needed to transmit a live DNA link, which meant connecting her neural code directly to the ship's core. "If I do this wrong," she said, "my mind could disintegrate." "Then don't do it wrong," Rex said. Grinning, reassuring, she smirked faintly. "If this fails, you have my permission to say, 'I told you so.' I'd rather say, 'You did it.'" The process began. The room filled with light as she connected to the core, her body glowing like liquid stars. Data streamed from her veins into the ship's system. Rex monitored the readings. "You're doing great," her voice trembled. "Almost there. Then static." The console flashed red. "Her vitals spiked! Zalira!" he shouted. "I can handle it!" She gasped, but her body convulsed as the overload surged. Without thinking, Rex grabbed the conduit and forced his hand onto the same circuit, grounding the current through himself. Pain shot through both of them, and then silence. The lights flickered back. "The transmission sent." Rex collapsed, panting. Zalira fell against him, weak but alive. "It's done," she whispered. "You did it." "No," she said softly. "We did." When she opened her eyes hours later, he was sitting beside her, arm bandaged, watching over her with that maddening mix of humor and sincerity. "Welcome back, Glowbug," he said. She smiled faintly. "Did we survive?" "Barely. But hey, that's kind of our thing." Her hand brushed his. "You risked your life." "Yeah, well, you make it interesting." "That is not a logical reason." "Neither is love." She blinked, heart fluttering. "You keep using that word. Get used to it." As the stars stretched endlessly before them, Zalira leaned her head on his shoulder. For the first time, she didn't think about reports or missions or betrayals, just the sound of his heartbeat. Solid, flawed, human, she whispered, almost to herself. Maybe love is the ultimate data corruption. He smiled. Then here's to corrupted files. Zelira's neural link had barely cooled before the universe decided it wasn't done testing her, because just as she and Rex began to breathe again, the ship's sensors started screaming. Alert! Lyran warships inbound. ETA. Bravo 743 Rex stared at the screen. 7 minutes? They didn't even pretend to buy your transmission. They must have traced the data echo, Zelira muttered, tapping frantically at the console. They're coming for the real coordinates. Which would be... She looked up. Us! The ship shook violently as the first gravitational pulse hit. Space itself seemed to ripple. Rex gripped the pilot chair. They're locking on! I can jam the signal for a short while, but we must run. Run where? We're in the middle of nowhere. Her eyes darted to the nearby asteroid field on the map. There! Through that? Yes, she shouted, already recalibrating the thrusters. Statistically, survival probability is, don't tell me the odds. He barked, throwing the ship into hyperdrift. The Valkyrie's joke roared toward the asteroid field, engines blazing like defiance itself. For 10 chaotic minutes, they dodged death in every direction, rocks the size of cities spinning past, laser fire searing the black void. Zelira's hands moved like music, weaving between obstacles with impossible precision. Rex, meanwhile, alternated between awe and panic. Remind me again why I let a glowing alien woman fly my ship? Because you would have crashed into the first asteroid out of spite, she said flatly. Another explosion shook the hull. He gritted his teeth. They're not giving up. They will not. They believe I am valuable. He gave her a quick grin. Told you you're special. Her glow flickered. Rex, this is not humor time. Every time is humor time when you're about to die. Suddenly, the power core blared. Energy depletion, 10% remaining. Great, Rex muttered. We're running on fumes. Zelira turned to him, eyes determined. There is a way to overload the field with my bioenergy signature. It might buy us time. You mean sacrifice yourself? It would only destabilize my neural lattice temporarily. That sounds like a fancy way of saying die for a few minutes. She hesitated. Technically, yes. Rex slammed his hand on the console. No way, you're not doing it. You have a better plan? Yeah, I'd do something stupid. He bolted from the cockpit, leaving Zelira shouting after him. By the time she followed, he was already in the engine chamber, stripping wires, rerouting power manually. Rex, stop! You will fry your brain. He grinned over his shoulder. Worth it if it fries theirs too. He connected the last cable, sparks flying. The ship howled, shuddered, and suddenly, every Lyran warship on the radar blinked, then disappeared from the sensors. Did that work? He asked, panting. Zelira stared at the console. You generated a false quantum signature. They will pursue a phantom trail. He leaned back against the bulkhead, breathless. Then we're safe? For now. She exhaled, and then slapped him lightly but sharply. You reckless, magnificent idiot. Ow, hey! That's gratitude? That is relief! She snapped, glowing bright pink. He laughed. You glow like a sunrise when you're mad, she glared. Do not flatter me when I am trying to scold you. Sorry, can't help it. Hours later, when silence finally settled, they drifted through the black stillness of space, battered, exhausted, but alive. Zelira patched his burns with a shimmering gel. He winced. That stuff stings. It is repairing your cellular damage. You should be thankful. Oh, I'm thankful. Just loudly. She gave him a small smile. You are a paradox, Rex Danner. Foolish yet brave. Primitive yet kind. Irritating yet... She hesitated. He tilted his head. Yet? Endearing, he grinned. I'll take it. They sat in quiet for a while, watching the stars drift past like ghosts. Then Zelira whispered, You know they will send more, I figured. I cannot keep running forever. Then we stop running. And do what? Fight back. Show them what humans and Lyrans can do together. She looked at him curiously. You speak as if unity were simple. It's not. But neither is love. And somehow we figured that out. Her expression softened. You are remarkably stubborn. You say that like it's new information. Suddenly, her wrist device blinked. A holographic message appeared, encrypted, short, and strangely personal. Zelira, this is not the end. Some of us have seen what you've done. We will contact you when it is safe. Do not lose faith in what you felt. She stared at it for a long time before it vanished. Rex raised an eyebrow. Who was that? A voice from home, she murmured. Someone. Who believes? In what? In contamination. He laughed softly. Guess the infection's spreading. A few days later, they landed on a small trade planet to refuel and rest. It felt almost normal, the smell of roasted synth beans, neon lights flickering, the hum of life around them. Zelira disguised her glow beneath a cloak. Rex, as usual, couldn't resist teasing. You look like a mysterious space monk? I am blending in. You're glowing through the fabric. It is lightly breathable material, she protested. They found a quiet corner cafe. She tasted coffee for the first time and almost spat it out. This is bitter! Welcome to humanity's favorite coping mechanism. I fail to see the appeal. Drink enough of it, you'll understand. Her translator buzzed. Addiction potential, 87%. She frowned. That is concerning. He grinned. You're learning. As they walked back to the ship, she said softly, Rex, I have been thinking. Dangerous hobby. She ignored him. When I first came here, I thought humans were illogical, chaotic, and primitive, harsh but fair. But now I see you are alive. Every emotion, every mistake. It makes you unpredictable and beautiful. He stopped walking. You rehearsed that, didn't you? Her glow deepened. Perhaps slightly. He chuckled and reached for her hand. You know, for a spy sent to steal human genetics, you've stolen something else entirely. What's that? My peace and quiet. She laughed, a real laugh this time, free and bright. Then consider it a successful mission. That night, under the artificial stars of the docking bay, Zelira stood at the viewport again. Rex, she said softly. What happens now? He joined her, folding his arms. Now we keep flying. Maybe find a planet where nobody cares who you were. And if your people call you back? They won't. I'm officially dead to my superiors. Turns out saving a glowing alien spy isn't regulation protocol. She smiled faintly. Then we are both fugitives. Romantic, huh? Statistically disastrous. Even better. She turned to him, eyes shimmering. Rex, thank you. For what? For teaching me what it means to be human, he grinned. I thought you already had a manual for that. I had data, she said. Now I have meaning. They stood there, inches apart, the hum of the ship surrounding them like a heartbeat. Rex brushed a strand of her hair aside. You know, if we're fugitives, we should have a name. A name? Yeah, something dramatic. Like the star-crossed idiots, she raised an eyebrow. Unacceptable. Fine, you pick. She thought for a moment. How about the corrupted ones? He smirked. Now that's sexy. As the engines powered up, she looked out into the endless dark and whispered, maybe contamination was the plan all along. He slipped an arm around her. Then let's spread it, Glowbug. The ship lifted off, vanishing into the starlit horizon. Two unlikely souls, one hopelessly human and one beautifully alien, rewriting the rules of life, love, and logic as they went. Months later, in a hidden Lyran archive, a group of scientists reviewed a corrupted file. It contained laughter, music, and fragments of human language. One of them frowned. This contamination must be contained. Another younger voice replied softly. Or maybe it should be understood. The screen flickered. Zelira's voice echoed faintly through the static. My first time among humans. They taught me that the heart is the most advanced technology of all. The file closed. Somewhere, deep in space, Valkyrie's joke drifted toward another sunrise.